ಪಾದವ ತೋರೋ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ. ಮೋಹನ ಗುಣಧಾಮ ನಿನ್ನ ಮೋಹನ, ಮೋಹನ ಗುಣಧಾಮ ನಿನ್ನ ಮೋಹನ ಪಾದವ ತೋರೋ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ. ವರಗುಣ ಜಾಲ ಸುರಗುಣ ಲೋಲ, ವರಗುಣ ಜಾಲ ಸುರಗುಣ ಲೋಲ, ಕರುಣಾಲವಾಲ ಪರಿಪಾಲ, ಕರುಣಾಲವಾಲ ತರುಣಿ ಪರಿಪಾಲ ಪಾದವ ತೋರೋ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ. ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದವ ತೋರೋ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ. ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದವ ತೋರೋ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ. Suddenly you told me I'm not getting the lyrics.
No problem. No problem. Wonderful. I'm so happy you spontaneously responded.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, why I thought we'll do it is because
yes.
There are some very beautiful stories I'm picking up from Ramayana today.
Okay.
I thought I'll ask you to.
We have started
Wonderful.
recording.
Blessing that you were here and we'll start. Okay, let's go to the story right away. India, the name India is not correct. The name is Bharata Varsha. It is not just a geographical location. It is a civilization. And when did this civilization start? This civilization is a cycle. It is not linear. I can't say it started on this date. It's a cycle. So the present Kali Yuga started about 5,000 plus years ago. But much before that, there was a yuga called Dwapara Yuga. Before that, there was a yuga called Treta Yuga. Before that, there was a yuga called Satya Yuga. A brief idea of what is the timeline. I would have told you before, but I would like to tell it again to people, remind you. The timeline is something very unique. 360 human years make one Deva Varsha. So let's say divine year. Okay. 1,200 Deva Varshas make Kali Yuga. 2,400 Deva Varshas make Dwapara Yuga. 3,600 Deva Varshas make Treta Yuga. 4,800 Deva Varshas make Satya Yuga. So 4,800 plus 3,600 plus 2,400 plus 1,200, 12,000 Deva Varshas are called one Chatur Yuga, one cycle. Okay. Like that, there are 71 cycles. And that 71 cycles get to be called one Manvantara. There are about 14 Manvantaras. And 14 Manvantaras make one Kalpa. One Kalpa means it's one day of Chaturmukha Brahmaji. So you can understand what is the time scale. Like that, another 4 Manvantaras make night of Brahmaji. Like that, Brahmaji has 360 years. Make one Divya Varsha. Then that makes 100 years of his lifetime. You can understand, no? It's a huge cosmic cycle. So we are trying to, many of us in India today, especially the post-independence, colonial educated Indian mindset, nothing wrong with that education, tries to interpret everything into categories. Now, what is this category? For example, cow. Cow is a jati, a category, a species. Is it a milk-giving cow or a non-milk-giving cow? Is it a Jersey cow or an Indian cow? It is white in color, brown in color, black in color, or spotted cows. See how you are going to categorize and say that is the cow. If we are going to understand Ramayana in this category, it won't work. If you are going to understand Mahabharata in this category, it's not going to work. It is not one more book. It is an itihasa. Itihasa means it so happened. Aisa hua tha. Itihasa. History. It is also called an Amara Kavya. Amara Kavya means immortal poetry. So, for example, Ram was born. He grew up in the palace. He grew up to be a king. He married Sita. Suppose this is the story. Now, how will the poet write? He will write a glorious poetry behind Ram's growth. And we will sing, Thumakte Chalat Ramachandra. We'll sing all that. So it is an itihasa and an immortal poetry. Amara Kavya Itihasa. So around a true story, around an event, they have built a very poetic structure. That is how we understand Ramayana and Mahabharata. How does Krishna look? Meghavarna, Makara Kundala, Rishi Kesha. His lips are pink in color. He is young and attractive. It is the glory of the poet. So this is how the whole thing is expressed. So we'll have to first approach Ramayana in this mindset. And this great work gives us certain truths which are universal, which also gives you an insight into the civilization called Bharata Varsha. So let's look at certain civilization truths which are good for all time to come. I'm going to start with one truth or one cultural statement which was made into a movie also. Pran jaye par vachan na jaye. The spoken word is very, very valuable. So there was a story. There was Raja in Ayodhya. The kingdom was Koshala. The Koshala kingdom capital was Ayodhya. In that Ayodhya capital, there was a Raja called Dasharatha. Dasharatha had 3 wives. And one wife's first wife was Kaushalya. The second was Kaikeyi. The third was Sumitra. You know where was Kaikeyi from? Kaikeyi was from Europe, Caucasia, Caucasian. She was from Europe, blue-eyed and yeah, this is my story, okay? Don't go looking for Kaikeyi. So she's a Caucasian. That's why Kakeya Kshetra. Kakeya Kshetra is Caucasus, Western Europe. So everything is covered in Bharatavarsha. Okay? So she came from that land. Exceptionally beautiful person, and she was a very good wife too. And in one occasion, she did something to save the life of the king. The king gave her 2 boons. It's like giving 2 blank checks. So there is a lesson for all of us. Don't give blank checks to anybody. So she said, I will encash these blank checks when I want them. So blank checks, if you say you encash it within 1 year. Why take the trouble, put the amount, sign and give. So he gave 2 blank checks. And he said, you encash it whenever you like. So then 4 children were born. The eldest was Sri Rama. And he was to be crowned king, Ilavarasa. Okay, Yuvraj. And just 1 day before that event, Kaikeyi decided to cash both the checks. She said, Rama cannot be king. Bharata has to be king. Second check was more damaging. She said, send him to jungle for 14 years. Now this man, Dasharatha, had given a word. He could have easily said, go to Caucasia if you want. वहां के जाके कोर्ट में you file a case. Let's see how it works. Is it go file a case? Did he? No. He pleaded. He said, you want Bharata king? Make him king. But why send Rama away? Rama will become a good warrior and he will act as a security guard and protect you. Why send Bharata away? Why send Rama away? You make Bharata king, I have no problem. First check and cash. Second check you don't encash. He said, no. 2 checks or no checks. He couldn't take it. He collapsed. Then she went to Ram. She said, your father has given me a word. 2 checks for that matter. And according to that, I'm encashing them. Bharata has to become king and you have to go to the forest. Your father has given these orders. What did Ram say? He said, I've always called you Mata. Why do you want to use father's name? You tell me, I will go. So up to this point, look at the culture called Bharata Varsha. The spoken word is important. And do you feel this in your culture? Check. Try breaking your word to someone and see what happens to you. Try. Simple thing. You tell somebody, I will log into your storytelling at 5:30. And if you are not able to log, look at the problem you have next day trying to explain why you didn't log. The spoken word, when broken, creates a split inside, creates a conflict inside. The Vedic culture recognized it. So in our culture, nothing in writing, everything spoken. Everything spoken. Then the Ram goes away on a jungle trip. Bharata comes. Bharata was not in town. You know, he had gone to Caucasia, European trip. He gone to his grandmother's place. He came back, he asked his mother, what rubbish have you done? Send Rama away. And no son ever curses his mother. Bharat cursed his mother. He said, you not only harmed me, you harmed my father, you harmed the entire praja of the country, and nothing happened to you, and you harmed yourself. And look at the harm you have done. Nobody in India ever names her son or daughter Kaikeyi. Daughter in particular. Has any one of you has a daughter named Kaikeyi? So somebody has a dad. Name her Kaikeyi. Kaushalya is there, Sumitra is there, no Kaikeyi. Bharata is there. Rama is there. But there is no Kaikeyi. Look at the way the culture has come. Somebody who made somebody suffer because of good intention, the word. I gave you a word in my good intention and you use it to harm me. Look how it affects the person, conflicts the person. Bharata said, I will not rule, and he went in search of Rama. And when Bharat came with his army, Lakshman, he picked up the bow. He said, that fellow is already not satisfied by being the king. He wants to fight a war. So Ram says, no, you don't know Bharat quite. So Bharat came and says, when the Yuvaraja is alive, the younger son cannot rule. He says, that is dharma. That's why there is a very fine, very refined and very fine, what you call dharma, now in our systems. In our systems, it's there. It is there in every Vedic heritage person. You cannot, it is there in your system. I'll show you how it is there. It is there in our system. He says it cannot be done. Ram says, I have given a word that cannot be broken. So this fellow says, when Yuvraj is there, I cannot rule. He says, I have given a word, so I cannot come back. So what do we do? Bharat says, give me your paduka. You know something? Ram Rajya was established that day. Not when Ram was ruling. Ram Rajya was established when Bharata took Ram's sandals, placed it on the throne of Ayodhya, and said, I will rule as Ramadasa. That was the name Ramdas also came. In fact, the Bharata Varsha, which we are trying to do today, is established Rama Rajya. What is Rama Rajya? Where the spoken word is not ever broken. The spoken word, I don't need a written constitution. The spoken word is not broken. And other dharmas, including the asuras and rakshasas, followed certain dharma. Okay, so we are looking at a character, an antagonist called Ravana. Ravana carried Sita away, abducted her. Okay, and when she was being taken away, an old feeble man who could not even stand without his walking stick said, nothing doing. I hear a lady in pain, I'm going to fight for her. He fought and he was hit and he fell down. That old man is called Jatayu. So when a dharma-oriented woman is in pain, so this Bharata Varsha, even the weakest fellow stands up to fight. And his karma was done by Sri Rama himself. And of course, the rest of the story, so many things happen. And the value for dharma is emphasized everywhere, highly emphasized. For instance, Ravan tells his son, Ram has come invading. Go fight him. Meghnad, Indrajit is his name. The fellow can win any wars. He cannot be easily defeated. He asked Ravan a question. Has Ram come in invasion? Has he invaded our territory? He said, no, no, no. Then why has he come? You know something? Ravana, an otherwise powerful 10-headed Dashanan, could not lift his eyes and meet Indrajit's eyes. He could not tell him that I have abducted another man's wife, so you go and fight for them. He had to only say, as a Raja, I am giving you orders, go and fight. See, even the wrongdoer, his sense of dharma didn't allow him to lift his eyes and look into his son's eyes. And the story says that Ravana was a great friend of Shiva. He couldn't approach Shiva and say, Shiva, help me, Ram is. So let it bring it down to our lives. Imagine we have made a major violation of law or something, dharma. Can you go to a close friend and say, look, I have broken dharma, help me? Can you look him in the eye and tell him? We can't. Can I go to my guru looking into his eyes and say, look, I have not paid tax for so many years? I can't do that. Dharma will not let you meet another dharmic person in the eye. And when I constantly rub dharma, I get rubbed in the process. When I get rubbed in the process, you know what happens? It's like my teacher very often used to tell me, take your shirt off, select an old tamarind tree and rub your back on that. See what happens. Your back will be one rana, full bloods. If you rub dharma, dharma rubs you back. And how do I know dharma rubs you back? Permanent conflict in me. One can never ever be happy. Given word maintained. Dasharatha was Mahabharata. Everybody says Dasharatha is a weak fellow. He promised his wife. I forget what he promised his wife. He kept his promise at the cost of his own life. Bharata upheld dharma at the cost of an entire kingdom. He said, no, I will not rule. This is Ram Rajya. So the value for dharma highlighted everywhere in the text called Ramayana. In fact, much later, much later. Now, there's a lot of talk, and I don't want to go into that debate. They say, Sita was sent away by Ram because somebody talked ill of her. There's a small side story to it. They say when Sita was living in an ashram there, Surpanaka met her. And Surpanaka says, see, for your sake, see what Ram did to me. He cut off my beautiful features of my face. And for all this, he has also sent you out of the house. You know what was Sita's reply? Sita says, Raja Ram can be away from Sita, not a problem. He is a political head of this country. He has to be. If situation demands, he has to be like that. But Sita Ram will never be away from Sita. So, they also had a beautiful line. She says, you know where I am? I am in Ram Rajya. I don't need the protection of palaces, fortresses. Even mosquitoes are safe in Ram Rajya, where every being has a sense of well-being. This is Ram Rajya. This is the culture that has, the Vedic culture, the Vedic tradition, which has come more than 5,000 years ago. And it has come, it is valid even today. Look at the culture even today. The spoken word is indeed valuable. Very often we'll say, but you said so. You said I can come on time. And the sense of dharma. How was dharma established in the society those days? Dharma was established in the society by, there is something called Dharma Shastra. Okay, there is a Dharma Shastra. It's called a Smriti Grantha. It is actually written down. Smriti Grantha. Dharma, it's like the written law books. The Dharma Shastra is interpreted by scholars, Vipra, Rishis, and the Nyayadhish was the Raja. And the Raja consulted all these people and his knowledge of the Dharma Shastra, he consulted, and justice was done then and there. And the stories go that if I ask you and if you tell the untruth, nobody can tell the untruth in the presence of the Dharma Shastra. And there are so many stories to that. The lovely stories are there. One beautiful story is, it comes in much later and it's used in Tenali Rama and places like that, how Dharma Shastra is interpreted. So there's a person who says that the maid in the house has stolen a golden necklace of the lady of the house. She says, no, I have no. He says, no, she is stolen. Actually, this fellow has given it away to the mistress. So then he says, okay, fine. He's a rich man and a person who has got a lot of influence. He said, let's do something. We will heat an iron rod. He has to hold the iron rod and say, the glowing red iron hot rod, and say, I have not stolen. If you have not stolen, the rod will not burn you. If you have stolen, it will burn you. So if the Raja said, yes, why not? Then Tenali Rama said, wait. There is another solution. Let the rod be heated. Who are the disputing parties? This fellow and the lady. So let this man who is actually accused here pick up the rod himself with his two hands and give it to her. So if he is speaking the truth, he should also not be burnt, no? Look how Dharma Shastra was interpreted by intelligently. The whole thing, the Vedic culture, we call it the Vedic culture, is because of the universality of the Dharma. Ahimsa is wrong. If you do himsa, himsa is wrong, not ahimsa is wrong. Now it has become like that in today's. Ahimsa is wrong. So himsa is wrong. And if you do himsa, you will get result for it. Himsa in the name of God is not okay. My God says, so I can kill you, is not okay. Himsa in the name of God is not okay. So in the Mahabharata, there are situations where for himsa done, the person who has done the himsa, who has possibly used adharma for killing even the fellow in the war field, has had to take the result, the outcome of that karma. So Ramayana highlights the spoken word. And I'm sure Jamila also knows. She's also an accomplished dancer. I think you've learned dancing as well. Yeah. How do you in Bharatanatyam show Ram avatar? Stand straight, integrity. So when you Purushottama, Ram alone has the name Purushottama. No other person has the name Purushottama. Stand straight for dharma, integrity, alignment of thought, word, and deed. Such a person is an Arya, Arjavat Arya. Not because born in North India and driven out the Dravidians to South India. Yes, Patani, who wrote all this rubbish? Arjavat Arya. Aligned person. My thought, word, and deed are aligned. And when I decide to live a life of thought, word, and deed in alignment, I will face challenges. Even Rama. There may be a challenge where I may have to send my own dearest person away. Stands for that, Purushottam. For us, Ram, Sri Ram, it doesn't matter where he was born. Yeah, how can I look in 2022 at something which happened how many years ago? What proof I can get? We can get some satisfaction here and there. Okay. Somebody is looking for some path built under the sea. It's okay. We call it, some kind of palliatives. You can get some satisfaction. But for me, Sri Ram lives in my heart. That's what Hanuman shows. He lives in the heart as character. He lives in my heart as alignment. He lives in my heart as integrity, above all bravery. When it comes to my cause, I fight first. So when fighting, waging a war, the leadership value was Ram in the front, all the forces behind. Arrowhead formation. This is the formation of Ram's army. Ram said, I will stand in the front, all of you behind. Even today, this dharma is followed by the Indian armed forces. I don't know if the person is present today, a very close friend from Kolkata. I don't think he has been able to attend today. An elderly person is about pushing 90 now. Long time ago, his young son, Sham Sundar, Major Sham Sundar, was waging a war, defending the Indian borders, and infiltrators and snipers were firing. He told his soldiers, wait, let me go outside and see, and he got shot. He got shot and became a martyr. So Ram led from the front when it's a cause, because when the leader leads from the front, everybody is willing to put their life behind the leader. Everybody is willing to. The leader never runs. He fights out in the front. In this value, we'll see also in Mahabharata how this value is. So much for. I can go on Ramayana alone. We can have a 3-day seminar. Why 3 days? We can have a full 9 days. Ram Navami celebrations, 9 days of Ram Pravachan we can have. Amazing stories, each one of them on the heroism called Rama. And Rama is Purushottama. He is our national figure. I want to ask a question. You know, the Indian Constitution had a picture of Ram, Lakshman, Sita, Hanuman. Where is that picture and why? Why did it? I don't want to talk politics, but I want to ask this question. Why is this picture not there? I'm just leaving it. I don't want to explore further. Ram is Maryada Purushottam Ram. So now from Treta Yuga, I'm bringing you down to Dwapara Yuga. Towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, there were two families, Kaurava and Pandavas. And they fought. What was the war about? Land. So previous war was about women, the second war was about land. These are the only causes for which they fight. Is there any other purpose for which people fight? I don't know. So the war was fought for land this time. The story we'll perhaps some other day do a whole Mahabharata series. I need to do 52 episodes at least. So I'm going to only briefly introduce a few characters there from the Mahabharata. There is a person called Bhishma. And today's times, it's only happened recently. A lot of people, find fault with Bhishma. If only Bhishma had said, I will not fight the war. If only Bhishma had said, I will not do this. If only Bhishma had done this. And what a stupid promise he made. See, this shows looking at the character through categories, trying to put the character through categories. It is not categorization. Categorization will not work. We'll have to look at character Bhishma's greatness from a different paradigm. Bhishma, he gave a word and stuck to the word at the cost of his own life. What was the word? I will stand behind the throne of Hastinapura. Whoever is the Raja of Hastinapura, I will be behind that Raja. Unfortunate turn of events, we had a weak Raja and a willful son who were bent upon adharma. He said, I will be behind the Raja. Willy-nilly, he had to support adharma. Some questions, okay? Some questions. Somebody once, when I was doing this Mahabharata pravachan, somebody asked me this question. He said, why couldn't Bhishma said, I will not fight this war? Dharma. He is the senior most warrior in the country. And suppose he refuses to fight the war. You know what is that dosha called? It is called Raja Droha Drosha, traitor, treason. Refusing to fight for your Raja when it is in danger is called treason. And the punishment for treason is death. So Bhishma being what it is, if he refuses, it will be Raja Droha Dosha. The king Dhritarashtra will have to sentence him to death. He says, no, a character like Bhishma cannot die such a death. Treason, and that too, capital punishment for treason, my dharma will not allow it. However, in the serial, the dialogue will be different. They will say, Hum kaise muh dikhayenge apne purkhon ko, all those dialogues will be there. It is plain dharma. Having promised, I will not go back on my word. So when Krishna comes and says, why do you have to fight? He smiles and says, Krishna, you know why I have to fight. Don't ask me this question. Then he makes a promise. He says, yes, I have said I'll wage a war, but I'm making one more commitment now. I will not kill a single Pandava soldier. Sorry, a single Pandava. Soldiers are different. I will not kill a single Pandava. What a promise. And then there is another dharma. It is called a Yuddha dharma. The person seated on a chariot will not hit foot soldiers. So automatically he will not kill foot soldiers. He only has to target the Pandavas. He says, I will not target. So what is his job? Essentially defense. I will just keep defending, but I will not wage a war, or I'll kill the Pandavas. Then he also had taken another vow. That vow is, I will not wage war or fight a battle with people who are not Kshatriyas, people who are not as qualified as I am, and especially against women folk. That was one more vow of his. And when the story goes and says Krishna, Krishna tricked him and things like that. We'll look at that aspect as well. So Krishna told Dharmaputra, go ask him how to defeat you. Because a true warrior will not ever refuse to give you an honest answer. So Dharmaputra says, Bhishma Pitama, how do I defeat you in a battle? He never says the answer. He says, when my hands, you can never defeat me as long as my hands are holding the bow and arrow. That was the answer. He didn't say, do this, do this. You can never defeat me as long as I have the bow and arrow in my hand. You cannot defeat me. So Dharmaputra comes and tells Krishna, and Krishna's mastermind works. He said, don't worry. We'll find a way. Put Shikhandi in front. He sees Shikhandi and puts his bow and arrow down because Shikhandi is a Napumsaka. He cannot wage a war with a transgender. Krishna says, hit him. Now comes the question, is it proper to do this to Bhishma? What is the dharma here? This requires, very care. These are all like skating on thin ice. If you interpret, you can write huge books and get doctorate also. You need a doctorate. Doctor so and so for doing why dharma was killed. The Bhishma was killed using adharma tactics. You have to remember two things here. Who was Bhishma representing? Adharma. And he is protected by dharma everywhere. So somebody who is siding with adharma and is also being protected by dharma, it is simply impossible to wage a straight war with him. It is simply not possible. You will have to find a chink in the armor. And who can find the chink in the armor? Only a Krishna. What's the beauty here? So let's say character A is Dharma, he is Bhishma, he's on the right side, he's done everything right, he follows Dharma. All your success and accomplishment assured. But if you are going to follow, we are going back to the earlier story. If you follow Adharma, at some point of time, Deva Shakti is going to let you down. Ishvara Shakti is going to let you down. So that is Bhishma's way. Similarly comes a situation where Karna is waging a war. A battle with Arjuna. A tight battle. And at one point of time, all his scholarship deserts it. Somebody says, he Parashurama cursed him. So there is a story. How can a teacher curse a student and things like that? I'm going to take a modern example. Okay? You are allowed admission in a particular school, provided you belong to this particular category. So you are coming to the 5th year now, almost completing your course. It is discovered that you have joined them on a false certificate. What will you be doing? What will the college do to you? What will the university do to you? Saying, no, it's perfectly okay, garland you. They snatch this degree and send you out, no? And give you imprisonment also in addition. So he joined the Parashurama school, giving a false caste certificate. And when he was discovered, Parashurama cursed him and sent him. He said, my Vidya will not work when it comes to the... So when he started working, it didn't work. When he started to fire the Astra, it didn't work. And then very important, when you are staging a battle, you see that you have the right people around you. Who was his Sarathi? Shalya. And what was Shalya's relationship with Pandavas? He was the own mama of Nakula and Sahadev. So it is like, it is like India playing Pakistan with Pakistani umpires. How can you ever win the match? So it's something like, how can you ever win? Your Sarathi Bilaman supports that side emotionally. And he expects you, and he was constantly demotivating. Finally came a situation when he was on the floor trying to lift his Ratha up. Arjun hesitates. Hey, this fellow is unarmed. Can I hit him? Krishna says he is not unarmed. He is disarmed. There is a difference. Unarmed means I don't have any astra or shastra. Disarmed means I have all of them, I have lost them. So he is disarmed. That's point number one. Point number two, You can quote dharma only to a fellow who follows dharma. How did he kill Abhimanyu? Did he follow dharma while killing Abhimanyu? No. Now, given a chance, what will he do? He will get back and Ratha, and if he gets a chance, he will kill. So this is the time. Kill him. Cut. I want to bring it down to Indian history. There was a Gurdi dynasty from which there was an invader, Muhammad Ghori. He was defeated so badly by Prithviraj Chauhan. So bad. And that fellow had no value for dharma. His dharma was loot, burn, kill the men, carry the women as slaves and sell them for auction in Afghanistan. Afghanistan has traditionally been only this place. That was his agenda. He comes, he wages a war, and Prithviraj Chauhan defeats him. And what did this fellow do? I forgive you, go back. Kya bakwas hai? The fellow picked up strength and came back and killed him. So there is this philosophy, you know, forgive and forget. Yeah, how can you forgive and forget? Forget what? Who will forgive? Somebody loots my property. Should I forgive or that you forgive? Let's say one A comes and loots my property. He should forgive me for looting me. Or should I forgive him for looting me? What do I forgive? And what do I forget? You forget that you burnt my land, you destroyed my land, you destroyed my car. There was a library in Nalanda which was burnt. I forget that. If forget will not work. Please understand, we need to have another quality. That quality is called Shama. Okay, Aksha, right with Aksha, Ma, Aka, Shama. Shama doesn't mean forgive. Shama means accommodate, become big. Accommodate and understand that people are not your type all the time. Like for instance, there are people who very often come and speak to me, and one person said, I am by nature expecting the person. I am a very open person, very frank person. I speak my mind to people. Why are people not like that? I said, have Shama. Accommodate that people can be different. No, it's okay if others are like that. My own family is like that. I said, Shama, expand and understand even family can be. In fact, family alone will be like that. Outsiders are separated. This is called Shama. Expanding to accommodate different reactions and responses from people. When people are different and when responses are different, I should handle with wisdom. So with the person who has no value for dharma, who will twist and break law, I can't be perfectly legal. See, in our history, what happened? The Rajputs tried to fight the invaders on open land. Hey, that is his strength. How can I fight him on that? So the Marathas made a small change. They did guerrilla warfare. They said, you come to my jungle, I will fight you. So you have to change strategy. Alauddin Khilji was cornered. When this fellow, the Indian Rajput ruler, was ready with his sword to kill Khilji. Khilji suddenly grabbed a woman and put her in the front as a security. What is the Rajput's dharma? Never attack a woman. So he put down the sword. What did Khilji do? Pick up a spear and kill this one. You know the history. I'm not talking from imagination. And this history comes from dharma. You have to learn to interpret dharma. By smriti, by scholars. Day-to-day dharma has to be interpreted. Okay? I'm going to take you to we've talked about heroes all the time. Let's talk also about the antagonists. So-called villains. I don't like to use the word villain. I would like to use the word antagonists. And one antagonist was Duryodhana. Duryodhana was constantly being told by his uncle, Mama, Shadyantra, conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. You know something, Duryodhana did not like conspiracy. He said, let's wage a war, man. What conspiracy are you talking? What are you talking about conspiracy? What do you talk about all this behind the back stabbing and things like that? He said, let's wage a war. May the best man win. That was Duryodhana. Not some runaway character like that. The fellow was strong. And see, when the Pandavas were away, Duryodhana ruled the country for 14 years. Was there any rebellion? There was no increase in petrol prices, rice shortage, sugar shortage, nothing was there. The kingdom was doing well. But only adharma was there. That is the problem. So when there is adharma, it has to eventually fall. I want to take you to certain battle scenes. One particular scene. Duryodhana is vanquished. All his brothers are finished. He runs and hides inside a lake. They have cornered him. The Pandavas have cornered him. And they dry the lake and Duryodhana comes out. And Dharmaputra, what do you call, empath. He is so empathetic that he gives away his rights all the time. That has been his habit. The empath says, he says, I'm not fit to fight now. I'm not ready to fight. I'm not in a position to fight now. He says, no, fight you must. But I'm making you an offer. We are 5 brothers. You choose any one of us to fight with you. Defeat that person. We will give back Hastinapura, Indraprastha and go back to Vanavasa. What an offer. The match is in tie. We are playing super over. So my team is telling you, you bowl 100 balls, I will bowl only 1 ball. And if you win, you take this World Cup and the next 5 World Cups you take. Duryodhana looks at all those fellows and says, give me Bhim. He could have picked up Sahadev and he would have crushed Sahadev like a mosquito. He could have picked up Nakul, Sahadev, Dharmaputra and all 3 he could have defeated. Arjuna was a archer. He was also a Gadadhari, but he could also, but he was not a full-time Gadadhari. He was an archer and a swordsman. He chose to fight Bhima. Look at the pride of that antagonist. I will lose, but lose at the hand of a strong warrior, not at the hands of some villain. Some small chota mota chiller admi ke saath, I will not lose. Not only will I not lose, even if I win, I want to win the best. I don't want to make by default or toss. I don't want to win this war. That was Duryodhana. What a character. Not to be dismissed like that. Not to be dismissed. That was Duryodhana's character. In all this, we should not forget one character. That character is called Vidura, the wise man. Impartially, he advised both the parties. But what happens? Nobody took his advice seriously. As a result, trouble. As a result, trouble. Right from the time. You know who was India's Vidura? I consider Dr. Ambedkar India's Vidura. Please go read his works. About his work on Constitution. Oh my God. He is a Vidura, true Vidura. We should read his work. Everybody has come down to Ambedkar's work has been completely forgotten. The greatness of a Vidura has been, like it has happened in Vidura, we have forgotten the greatness of Vidura Ambedkar. And Vidura said, right from the beginning, he told the Raja, control Duryodhana. Control the troubled elements in your country. Don't give privileges to special groups, special states. Ambedkar said this long time ago. No special states, no special privileges. Don't give them. He says, don't give this to Duryodhana. He says, Duryodhana doesn't listen to me. Vidur told him, you are Raja man. That's why first instance I said you are not fit to be Raja. I made Pandu Raja. Let me finish them. Let me finish this. I have one more young student attending. Yeah, this is my young student attending. Okay. So yeah. So Vidur said, yeah, take her. You go. You want to see or you want to go? Okay, you see the story. Okay, listen. Okay, so then what happened? Vidur said, listen, Raja, you are the Raja. I told you in the first instance you are not fit to be Raja because you are not able to take firm decisions. Pandu was able to take firm decisions. He says, Duryodhana is not listening to you. Follow. First, advise him. Second, Adesh, give him orders. Third step, Danda, punish him. He said, how can I punish my son? Then he said, Bhukto, suffer. So, Vidura advised him very, very firmly. Krishna comes as a Duta. He says, here is your chance to redeem yourself. Krishna says, give me a place where 5 people can stay. I said, here is a chance to redeem yourself. And they would listen to him. He says, there is a saying in Tamil. It's a very common Tamil expression. They say the elephant, throws mud on its own head. The elephant will have a good, nice bath and then throw mud on its own head. Okay. So he says, your destiny, you're destroying yourself. Vidura, greatness of characters. So like that, our books, Mahabharata, Ramayan, are full of such characters. And our generation, the generation which came after the independence, owes a duty to the next generation. Because somebody calls me today and says, hey, what do I do? My children are not as sympathetic as I was. They don't know how to feel for these persons. So I had a small counter question. I said, is it not you told your boy crying is not for boys? Didn't you tell them? You brought them up on the diet, no? Boys are not supposed to cry. So he's not crying for you. He's eaten your man-eater food that you have given. Suppose you had taught him Shama, be enough to accommodate. Kuch bhi ho jaye, keep your word. Did you promise? Yes, then keep your word. Did you teach him? At least did you tell him the story of Mahabharata this? No. You made heroes out of the wrong people. And then don't come and blame the next day. So we owe it as a duty. I don't like to use the English word duty. I would like to use our Sanskrit word dharma. Do you want the next generation to be okay? We have to teach them. You are Sreshta Purusha. In the Bhagavad Gita it says, Yadadacharati Sreshtaha Tatateva Itaro Jana Sahayat Pramanam Kurute Lokastad Anuvartate. I am a Sreshta Purusha for my children, my grandchildren. I have to. I can yell at the child and say, go away. So what will the child do? Tomorrow you will yell back at me. No, I put the child, tomorrow will definitely not. She said, maybe I'm doing busy work, but okay, it's time for everybody. The way the Sreshta Purusha conducts himself, others will conduct. Sahayat Pramanam Kurite. Whatever he sets as an example, others will blindly follow. Sreshta Purusha. As elder, seniors today, a lot of seniors here. We need to educate the next generation. How? By being an acharya. You know who's an acharya? Acharati. He behaves. Acharyati makes one behave. Two qualifications of an acharya. You behave, and the other, you inspire the other to behave, not force. So you inspire. Talk sense. Never divorce science from spirituality. At best you can say, I'm sorry, I don't have the answer. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer. Let's find out together. Acharanam. This Bharata Varsha is not just for us, India. It is for the whole world. You know what? When we do a Sankalpa, it says, where are you from? Jambu Dvipa. Jambu Dvipa is the earth, full of water. Jambu Dvipa. In that Jambu Dvipa, Bharata Varsha. So we owe it to the whole world to teach them values. Swami Vivekananda says India is going to be a teacher of the world. So you and I should know these subjects. Research, study. I'm immensely grateful to seniors today, the organizers, for helping me back to bring this subject back. I've been talking on various subjects, stories from here and there. The last few weeks I've been starting stories about music composers. I'm going to talk on that further as well. But in and through each of these stories, in and through each of these great characters that India has produced, I would always highlight the Bharatiya culture, which is very, very important. I would like to close with this small story which talks about Bharatiya culture. You know, there was a song from the movie Baiju Baba. Man tadpad haridar Shan ko aaj man tadpad haridar Shan ko Rag Balcons, composed by Naushad, written by Shakil Badayuni, sung by Muhammad Rafi on Krishna. On the day of the recording, Naushad announced to his team of technicians. He said, I have to say it in Hindi. He said, कल हम लोग एक भजन रिकॉर्ड करने वाले हैं. देखो सब पाक साफ होके आना है. You have to come pure. रात को दारू नहीं पीना, मांसाहारी खाना नहीं खाना. कल भजन रिकॉर्ड करने. This is Bharatavarsh. This is secularism of Bharatavarsh. And this is the greatness of this land. I have a goosebumps when I realize that I'm Bharatiya. It's a good fortune to be born in Bharat. Thank you very much for being with me. I get emotional when I talk of Bharatvarsh. Thank you very much for being with me and listening to these stories. If anyone wants to share something, we have a few minutes.
मोहन भाई, आपके जो है मतलब नॉलेज के हम कितनी तारीफ करें, हम कह नहीं सकते.
सब ऋषि का दिया हुआ वर है. ये नॉलेज हमारी नहीं है, ये हमारी ऋषि गण है ना, हमारी परंपरा है. तो ये ऋषि गण का दिया हुआ वर है.
आपने जिस ढंग से हम लोगों को नरेट किया है, that is absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
It's my punya, it's my good blessing of my guru where I'm.
सर ऐसा ही कोई और सेशन रखिए किसी और टॉपिक पे.
जरूर करेंगे. हमारे सीनियर्स टुडे सपोर्ट करते हैं, हम लोग रेगुलरली करेंगे, कुछ ना कुछ करते रहेंगे.
बिल्कुल. इसकी रिकॉर्डिंग अगर आप मेरे को भेज सकें सर.
आ जाएगा. रिकॉर्डिंग विल बी अवेलेबल एंड आई विल रिक्वेस्ट अर्चना जी.
मैं क्योंकि थोड़ा लेट हो गया था ज्वाइन करने में, मैं बाहर गया हुआ था. जैसे ही मैं आया मैंने तुरंत ज्वाइन किया था
जी.
ओके सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you.
Anybody else can share?
Very nice session, Mohan. Actually, you know, I had been to my son's house recently. They celebrated Eid, you know.
Oh.
Eid. Yeah.
Oh, so nice.
They celebrated Eid. You know, see, I was wearing a bindi. I always wear a bindi. And it was so nice actually. And one after Eid and all that, some people, no, my daughter-in-law's mother, they were reading the Quran one side and all that. And and the other side, after some days, the other side, I was singing Kritis.
Great.
It was so nice actually, and everybody, there was nothing like ye mat karo, wo mat karo, aisa kuch nahi. Hum log, we used to enjoy and we celebrate everything actually.
Wonderful.
So wonderful, no?
That is Bharatiya culture, Bharata Varsha.
Yeah.
Somebody asks you, you say, I belong. I am not this jati, that much. I am
हम लोग
Bharatiya.
तो भारतवासी हैं.
I'm Bharatvasi. Bharatiya, Bharata Varsha. Even others were trying to crawl out of caves. We were having Indus Valley civilization. Kya culture hai?
Yeah.
And somebody is telling Modi doesn't know how to use cutlery. अरे हमें cutlery से क्या? हमें खाने से मतलब है यार. गुटली गिनने से नहीं. काम से मतलब है गुटली गिनने से नहीं. Sorry, I mean this is the beauty of Bharata. So many languages, so many practices, all of them into a homogeneous whole culture. Bharata Varsha. Okay, and Bharata Khanda, that becomes the geographical, political entity. That's the greatness of Bharata. Thank you very much. All
beautifully, Mohan, beautifully
Thank
explained.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you, Jairam. Thank you, Dr. Jairam.
Thank you very much. It was really
Thank
interesting.
Actually, I remembered, I used to read C. Rajgopalchari's wonderful, both Ramayana and Mahabharata.
I would like all of you to spend some money by Amar Chitra Katha entire series of Mahabharata.
Yeah.
Excellent stories are available.
I've read them.
Please preserve Ramayana. This should be ghar ghar mein rehna chahiye. And what we do, Ramayana should be taken out, done puja and put in. No. It should be thumbed. Should be thumbed. The pages should be torn. Only then it becomes Ramayana. Thank you very much. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Mohan.
much, Mohan.
Thank you so much.